Holy moly, that's the best intro I've ever seen to anything. I can't even get. I just sat here with my mouth open, going, "What a build-up!" Oh my God!
Yes,
I got awards.
It is me, the big bad devil daddy,
you
coming
get the
out of the pit.
Wolf Award of intros. Yes,
welcome everyone to a Sunday edition, a very special Sinful Sunday edition of the Underground. And I'm glad you all are with us tonight because I got a treat for you like no other. Living legend, legendary founding member of Hallows Eve, also the leader of Tommy Stewart's Direwolf and CEO of Black Doomba Records, Tommy Stewart.
Thanks a bunch. I'm really excited about it. This is awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Take a moment, everybody out there in Three Witches Land. I want you to do this for me right now. I want you to share this anywhere and everywhere. If you're a YouTube viewer, share that shit out like it's Carnage candy, because this is one interview you do not want to miss. But before we get into this storied career, an amazing career that is still going and even stronger and more bad fucking ass than ever, let's take a quick commercial break to our friends overseas at Poison Valley Clothing. Check it out. Allahu Akbar. That's right. You can currently find Poison Valley Clothing on Facebook. They have a shop there for you. Just loaded up a whole bunch of new, not just classic horror, but new designs of their own. So definitely check that out. Perfect for your collection and your horror apparel. All right.
We are Valley Clothing. Yes. Poison Valley Clothing.
Yep, they're out of the UK. They actually sponsor a bunch of bands.
Awesome.
Absolutely. They sponsor a lot of bands from my management company, Reaper's Underground Productions, as well as my new band, Iron Serpent, which we'll get to that.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with that stuff I just saw.
All righty. So thank you for joining us on the Underground tonight. I've been wanting to get you on for a while, but I just wanted to kind of pick the right time since there's all these great releases from your bands, especially vinyl wise, which we'll talk about that too.
Oh yeah. Oh God. Yeah. They're flooding out now. I kept saying,
for sure.
I kept telling everybody, hang on. They're back. The queues are backed up. It's coming. They're all ordered a long time ago.
Well, they just don't realize how long it takes to mass produce any vinyl, and how expensive it is. So that's kind of why the pre-sale thing works so well, because you don't have to buy a bunch of them and be out a lot of money.
Well, yeah. It's such a big subject. I want to put out vinyl. I really like vinyl, and I think people want it. In the past a couple of years, I read something, I think it was last year that I read, the year before, it had gone up vinyl demand had gone up over 600 and something percent, 613% or whatever.
It's insanity.
613, 623, whatever. It's so much. And that's why suddenly it became hard to get the vinyl. It always did take 6 or 7 months, maybe 5 months, sometimes if you're lucky. But now it was taking, they didn't make more machines or open more companies or get more workers. They simply just piled up, even for the big boys. Now, I can tell you, Metal Blade did re-releases of Hallows Eve lately on a CD and vinyl.
Right.
And I think it took, even for them, it took about 10 months for the albums to the vinyl to be made, even for Metal Blade.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, they're not. And mine have been taking lately. I think Grave Next Doors took about 14 months from when it was ordered.
Holy shit balls.
But I think it's changing because I can tell you that Grave Huffers got done a little bit faster. I think something like 10 months. And then
that's
Holy
pretty good.
Roller, yeah, it actually got a lot better. I was very surprised how fast I got the CDs too. Wasn't really telling them to expect it, but now it looks like just to tell you what my little schedule is, on February 3rd, I've got Grave Next Door vinyl releases. It's in pre-sale right now, and you can get it at the Black Doomba Records Bandcamp. On February the 3rd, global release means it goes into distribution everywhere, including their websites.
Exactly.
So it'll be on Amazon and everywhere else in the world, Plastic Head and stuff like that. February 17th, 2 weeks later from this next Friday, Grave Huffers Grave Huffers Depart from So Much Evil releases. Not released, but goes into it does. It releases. It's in pre-release right now too. But CD only, but I'm waiting for their vinyls, but their vinyls are right behind it. Yeah, the vinyls are coming. The vinyls are coming. I just don't know when yet. I haven't gotten. I have
no worries, brother.
When it's shipping, it's about 7 to 8 weeks because of I get a handful of them sent by air, which is kind of expensive, so I can get the band their comps. So Allie can have a comp and stuff. But and so I can make a couple of pictures for Bandcamp, things like that. So anyway, Grave Huffers release is actually the 17th for CD. And I can go ahead and say it here. I'm pretty sure that wait a minute, there's one more. Holy Roller, and I haven't even said it in public yet. Holy Roller goes into
pre-sale. You heard it here first on the underground.
February 21st. Yes, you did. February 24th, Friday, February 24th, the week after the Grave Huffer release, is the pre-sale starts for Holy Rollers, Swimming Witches, vinyl.
Yep, that's a great album.
Vinyl. That's when the pre-sale starts, and I've got them penciled in for the release. You see how old school I am? I'm flipping calendar.
I mean, that's just how we do, you know. I myself am not that big of a fan of technology. I'll put pen to paper before I have the keyboard's ass.
Most of it, I have Google Sheets that tell me my inventory, that tell me all the schedule of Black Doomba Records, and all the bands have their own color codes that are kind of based on their album cover main colors or brand color. And so I can look at that, but when I need to just grab something fast, I just grab it the paper calendar.
Exactly, it's a hell of a lot easier. See,
so I'm still
out there in Three Witches Land. You now know the inner machinations of how this works behind the scenes. So let's go ahead and start right at the beginning. Let's talk about your legendary band, still going strong to this day, Hallows Eve.
Oh my God.
And there's a wonderful young Tommy
standing on the steps of my apartment.
How did you guys get together? Like, were you all just thrash lovers, or?
No, it was weird. That wasn't the first band. Like, I think a lot of thrash bands, when they started, I think that was actually their first band. It wasn't. We were all in other bands, and we had most of us were in other bands. Skelly had never been in a band before, but we just thought he was a cool dude and he played guitar, so we got with him. He wanted to be metal. So at that time, there wasn't really any metal much. In fact, when before we were Hallows Eve, we were called Warrior, not the LA Warrior, but we were our Warrior.
Right.
We didn't know nothing about no LA Warrior. There's no Facebook, there's nothing, no internet or anything.
Yeah, you couldn't fact check to see if there was anyone else called that.
No. So we were no, exactly. So we were so at the end of 1979, we started a band called Warrior, and after we changed 2 guys out and changed the name in 1983 to Hallows Eve. And pretty much Hallows Eve's songs that were on Tales of Terror, pretty much we started the band on the songs the other band didn't like or didn't want to play. The ones they said were not the ones that we would make it with. I started writing down everything they said was a bad idea, and we went and did that, got signed. I said, these guys don't know what they're talking about. So anyway, nothing against those guys. They're nice guys and all that, but it wasn't going to happen in that band, because mainly the reason is because 2 or 3 of them wanted to go, and they wanted to be kind of what would be eventually, they wanted to be kind of like a Quiet Riot type thing or something. They were kind of that way. And me and Stacy I just sort of brought Stacy into it in 1983 from another band. And I talked him into our band, and he got in there, and I'm telling a long story, but anyway, I'm sorry.
Hey,
but anyway, he got in there. It was very important that I had him instead of me singing. So I kind of more or less fired myself on vocals and got Stacy to sing. And I just went to bass. So years later, so every band I've been in, I've been the lead vocalist. Not that I'm so great, but I've been the lead vocalist in every band. So anytime
it's pretty good though.
Only know Hallows Eve. So when they see me out doing something singing, they go, "Oh, you decided to start singing, huh?" And I'm like, "I've been singing the whole time, just not that band." And I even sang in Hallows Eve for 5 years after Stacy. In the 2000s, there was 5 years.
It's probably not the easiest thing to do either. No. Play and sing at the same time.
No, that part I never had a problem with. Always, you know what? I think I disassociate to me, playing bass by itself. This is a weird thing, and I wonder if other musicians are like me. I haven't really talked to anybody about it. But okay, when I'm just playing bass, I'm just a bass player, then I'm that creature. When I'm singing and playing bass, I'm not really a singer, I'm not really a bass player. I'm more or less in this one single creature, that this is what that creature does. And I've just never really took it apart, because I'm afraid because I do it so naturally that I'm afraid if I analyze it, I might kind of overthink it. But I've always been able to pick up a guitar and go, and then this, and then that, and then and one part comes up, and and so bump, bump, bump. I guess when I do something complicated, I might back off or hold a note. I don't know. I never really wanted to think too much about it because I was afraid I'd mess it up, but it doesn't bother me. That's never really been a thing for me. Because you know what? When I was a kid, I'd sit there with a guitar and try to sing and play, or also like when you're learning to play your instrument, a good thing to do is like take it easy and play this is like guitar lessons here. So guitar, bass, or even anything, to actually sit and say the notes that you're playing really slow as you're doing. So E, G, A, and you're doing some kind of a blues thing or something. But if you say them as you're doing them, you'll learn them. So I think while I was talking the whole time I was playing, then I guess it just became
comfortable.
Yeah. So as you're a musician.
Absolutely.
Aren't you more of a drummer?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I love drums. Playing drums is fun.
Yeah, I've devoted my entire life to it.
There's a set back there. I doodle around on it about 30 minutes, about 2 or 3 times a week.
I've been eyeballing it.
Yeah, it's back there. It's a little bit of this and that.
Let me come through the screen and play it.
Oh, you don't want to hear my poor little fundamental rock.
Oh no, I was saying I'd love to jump back there and rock out on it for you.
Right on. The way we do it in Direwolf. What we've done here in the studio is that this is basically a duplicate set of my drummer Dennis' set.
Right.
And it's basically his set, but duplicated here. And I keep it mic'd up to the laser beam, literally measured. Like on my sessions, it tells it even has the comment section in Pro Tools, and then I put the mic, how many inches away it is. I give a brief description of how it's angled.
Nice.
And so everything's in place. And then I've made a template of that, and I hit 10 sessions, and they're all the same. We just fill them in.
Nice.
I've got 3 or 4 different versions of that template, but this one, I think what's set up right now is 13 mics for drums. It's either 12 or 13 more than likely.
Hell yeah.
I wish I could go a little further.
I can remember when I was a kid, because I was a kid growing up through the 80s, dating myself yet again. I can remember
I'm a vampire. I don't know.
seeing the Hallows Eve album in the local store. And, this is something we talk about on the Shred. We talk about it on Tracks from the Damn Show podcast. We all bought albums based on their front covers back then. And we literally, that's what us kids did in the 80s. It was all about album cover, because we didn't have Spotify. We didn't have YouTube and all that other bullshit. And we would listen to the whole fucking record. Nowadays, people just listen to a single. So, and I remember seeing your album, and I was like, this album cover rocks. I want to check it out. Not to mention
the Tales of Terror one.
What's that?
The Tales of Terror Popeye guy.
That's the one.
The hood, yeah. I know. Yep. I don't mean to, but he had some arms, So.
Oh, for sure. But it wasn't so much that, because it was just like, oh, I know what that is. That's an Executioner. Badass.
Well, you knew it wasn't. Back then, they didn't have a heavy metal section. All of us were rock. Yeah, I mean, you're looking through there.
You could always tell the difference, though.
Yeah. So, you can see Hall & Oates, Heart. Look at this album cover, Hallows Eve. That's where we were, next to Hall & Oates and Heart. But you knew we weren't like that. You knew we were like this.
Exactly.
That was really the point. Everybody kind of looks back at that album cover and goes, that was pretty bad. But I go, but it was normal for the time. Y'all just don't know. Look at everybody's album covers.
It was good for the time.
It really was. For the time.
And the title of the band name, it was just like, okay, I'm going to be in for a thrill ride. And I was just listening to, what was that? Plunging into Megadeth, or Plunging to Megadeth. Sorry. I to this day, I still rock out to that song. So it's like, in the presence of greatness.
So much fun to play live. That one was fun to play live. We play some Halloween songs live now, but we don't do that one, because I really want Stacy to sing that one, and he's not going to be singing that one. It's not going to happen. So I really wish we could have that one. Sometime I'm kind of working up with some people. I would really like to get with some friends of mine, and I've got some people here and there that
Babylon Sun, what's up?
Yeah, like when we played with Greypuffer, we in the Tennessee Metal Devastation Festival, we asked to play our set next to theirs. Richie left his guitar setup up there and came up and played Metal Merchants with us. So basically you saw Hallows Eve for 5 minutes or 3 minutes. So I've got people around that I've said, if you'll learn that, me and my drummer right now are working on this one. So if we play with you guys, you might could come up and guess. We might could do that song. So we're still playing Hallows Eve every show, but like one song, maybe 2 songs.
Right.
If I could get up enough, I've told all of them, I go, if we can learn all of the first album, if anybody wants to learn the whole first album, we can put something together. We could go out and do something like Tommy and Friends do the music of Hallows Eve and something like that. And I'm sure people would have a good time hearing it.
Shit, I'd jump on that myself.
In a heartbeat.
I played 20 years of death metal before I switched to doom, and of course I haven't looked back, but I still have my death metal roots, so that would be pretty cool.
Doom is a different thing, so it's completely different. Yeah. But Tales of Terror was awesome. I've got some Tales of Terror trivia. When we did the here's the little story. So when we did the demo that became for Hallows Eve to get signed by Metal Blade, all we had on it we had the instrumental Valley of the Dolls, Metal Merchants, and the song Hallows Eve, which was an 8-minute epic thing.
Yeah.
And it told a story in it and everything. Okay, well, check this out. There's a Foghat connection between Hallows Eve. The person who recorded that,
I thought so.
It was Nick Jameson from Foghat, from the Fool for the City album. It was Nick Jameson from Foghat. It was his house, his basement. and we recorded it right next to his. You'd think this is some big fancy studio. Everybody wants to be in these nice Star Trek looking studios, and I go, man, we recorded that thing like sitting on. There was a laundry thing sitting there, the water heater in the guy's basement. We're in fold out chairs.
Sorry,
no
folks.
fancy studio.
There's
we just
only
went
one
in.
Sting.
It's not the bad, it's the batter.
Places like that.
You don't have to go to the people drive me crazy. I see studios they go to and I go, I can record it right now. You don't have to go, it doesn't have to look like that. I don't like the sterile studio environment. I kind of like a little bit of a homey mess. You can
sure, absolutely. Black Tar Superstar's first EP was recorded in a basement, so
right,
it came out great. And
these
that kicked off
days,
our
I'll go anywhere and record, but these days, this is where I record. This is what I call the Blue Ogre Noise Lab, or it can be the Black Doomba Studio. We can call it that. But this is where I do everything. Right there.
Yeah.
And I have it in nice calm teal and blue colors. I see other people's studios and they're like shocking red, all this stuff. And I'm like, oh God, I just feel like, and they look like hotels lobbies. I feel like I'm gonna be polite and everything. And I'm like, I don't like it. I don't like it. I want to come in, throw pillows and put up posters.
Of course. So when you guys burst onto the scene, what were some of the bands that you were playing with, before actually going out and touring?
Well, we kind of went straight out touring. This was unusual. We never played our first show till July 12th, 1985. Hallows Eve's first show was the same day our album actually appeared on the shelf.
Isn't that something?
Our first show happened the day our album came out or was able to be bought. Most people have to slog around. We didn't. We made a demo tape. We got signed. Our album came out, and then our first show was in our hometown in Atlanta. It was a show. I was the promoter. Our second show ever was with Agent Steel, Exodus, Metal Church, and Slayer in Montreal, Canada.
Metal Church, holy shit!
This is our second show ever. Is out of the country in front of about 2,000 people, with other bands like us that we all had their cassette tapes, albums. I mean, and that was our second show. Our third show ever was with Slayer in New York. We were with Nasty Savage and Slayer. At that point, we were on a string of shows that was us, Nasty Savage, and Slayer. And I think Nasty Savage, like us, was whenever they didn't. It was like we'd play with Slayer on like a Thursday, Friday night, or whatever. Then a Saturday night, we would be nearby somewhere in upstate New York, and then we'd shoot back with them. And so there was a lot of zigzagging at the end of 85 like that, but it was a lot of shows with us and Nasty Savage, or us and Nasty Savage Slayer, or us and Slayer. And it was during the Hell Awaits tour. So it was the first time I heard Hell Awaits was live at the show.
Wow. That's why we call the 80s the golden era of metal. Because
awesome. And we got to play with everybody that's huge now. We were on bills with everybody. We were on bills with the Bills. You can look back at the posters. It's kind of unbelievable.
I was kind of breezing through the Hallows Eve Facebook page earlier, and I was seeing some of those old. This was back when you didn't have digital nothing. You had to tack posters up, people.
Yeah, this is back in tacking posters up times and whatever. We sure did, and of course we mostly weren't playing in our hometown because metal wasn't really even a thing here yet.
Well, so that's also
in fact, like
a good thing.
The first time I walked into the main record store here and tried to buy a Metallica album, they had to go get the manager. I had to ask for it. They went and got the manager, and she said, "Oh, we don't carry that kind of stuff here." And I said, "You don't carry old albums?" I said that they're pretty popular. And she goes, "We just don't carry that kind of thing here." And I went,
"It's the devil's music."
Well, y'all are really in for a surprise. Something's coming that's going to make you carry that album.
Yeah, because metal took over. Period.
I see you've got Hall & Oates. Anyway, I don't mean to bring up Hall & Oates all night, but it's just funny to me that
that's a great reference point.
Yeah, well, our album was right next to HLL. There we were. We want to be down in the
Michael
M's
Jackson,
because you go to the M's and there's Motorhead, Megadeth, Metallica.
Yeah.
Why did we pick an H? We're up here by ourselves with all the H names.
The
cool ones were the M names.
For sure.
It was a thing. It was for real. I mean, Why
That
was
was
it
also
him?
the era of the Satanic Panic. So, they
Oh,
were trying
totally,
to
yeah.
censor every fucking thing metal was doing. How did that
Yeah,
affect you guys?
well, when we got Death and Insanity is the one that came out when that actually was going on, the whole
Mhm.
the gore thing.
Yeah, the PMRC.
So I was told, I don't know any specifics, but I was told that when they put a Metal Blade kind of beat him to the punch. They didn't put really a warning on there. They put a
Yeah.
sticker on our shrink wrap on, I think, about the second go around of the Death and Insanity album. They put stickers on the albums that said parental seal of disapproval. So
Fuck
people are
you.
people are
Oh, I hate
they're
that
being
shit.
warned, but it's also kind of enticing at the same time. Okay, there's your warning
Yeah.
sticker. The parental seal of
I never
disapproval.
knew a kid that didn't buy someone's music based on, the fact that there was an advisory sticker because it's a no-brainer.
Oh, I don't
Oh,
want to
it's taboo. I must buy it.
exactly. Well, that's what I know.
So it actually worked out good for us in the metal community, I
Yeah,
think.
I don't know how much of a percentage things picked up, but I think sales actually picked up because of it.
Yeah,
I
for
think that's
sure.
not the only reason why, but in our case, we were getting bigger and
Oh
bigger.
no, you guys
But
were
I think
that's
that
who
was a
fucking
lift, and I
yeah.
think that was a really smart idea. I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody remembers those stickers. I wish I still had one. I'm motioning over here to where all the Black Doomba records are, but and my albums are up here too. But anyway, and I got
Oh,
the
I have a
I,
couple from the 80s that still have it on there.
Death and
So
Insanity was probably my favorite Hallow's Eve album. I felt like it was. I
oh,
really
it's
like Tales
fucking
of
great.
Terror. They could have been the same one package. Tales of Terror. We were already doing songs on Death and Insanity in our first shows. When Tales of Terror came out, we already had 3 or 4 of the songs on Death and Insanity. We just held them over.
Exactly. I mean, Goblet of Gore was one of my favorite tracks off that
Yeah,
record.
that was a really good one. That was me. That was
It
sort of
was
me on
heavy.
the
It was a
lyrics to do.
heavier record.
It was. I liked Death and Sandy because it was a little more together and a little more polished, I think. But not polished. It was just you could tell that we had gone to the
You
next
were
we
evolving.
went to the next level
Yeah.
of our next level. Yeah, you could tell it was an evolving and we wanted to evolve. When we started, people talk about keeping it true.
Metallica didn't.
When we went through changes and people would say we weren't keeping it true. Later, they look back and they say, well, you didn't keep it true. And I go, no, we kept it true because the one thing we emphasized to ourselves, standing on a particular driveway one night as we started the band, I remember having this conversation that we were going to make a conscious effort to constantly evolve and change, and that each album would be a little different than the next. So when you came to our 10th album, it wasn't really going to be anything like the first album. We
Well,
wanted to
no, of
evolve.
course not.
So people would see us and they'd say, well, you guys aren't keeping it true. You've changed. No, in other words, we did what we said we were going to do. We evolved. we
And
did.
it
We
was
were the only
good
ones who kept it
evolution,
true.
especially, the unique vocals in the
Oh,
band, I
yeah, he was
think
awesome.
really set you guys apart from all those other thrash bands, Anthrax, DRI, some of those other
It
guys.
depends on what album. Yeah, with Stacy, one thing we had that not necessarily, but a lot of the bands had good singers, but they were a different style. Stacy could
Yeah, it was
actually
grittier, more gravelly,
he could actually sing. Well, there was
Yeah.
no doubt that there was a bit of Paul Diano in him, but he could throw it up there too with his oh.
Sure, shit could.
He could go right up in
But it
there in his head
worked.
space. So, but I like Death and Insanity, and yeah, I even got the. There you go.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's how
That's
much I liked
awesome.
it. My whole arm
That's
is the Death and
fantastic.
Insanity cover.
Hell
So,
yeah. So
Death and Insanity was
you
that.
guys have pretty much played with everybody.
Pretty much, kind of, yeah.
How about we do a quick
And I'm
little
saying you're
rundown
going
of
to
your
meet everybody.
favorite?
Everybody talks about who they've met, and I go, honestly, if you're a musician, if you're out playing and you're doing stuff and you go places, you're probably going to run into everybody somehow or another. Maybe even just crossing in a slight chat on Facebook, you're going to run into everybody at some point. We're like 1 degree of separation from each other instead of 6. So,
We
like
got a quick question from the comment section, Kyler. I want to ask, do you have a favorite song from all the albums, just the most funnest song that makes you feel great? I think I got that right.
On our albums, I still love Metal Merchants. I think it's an anthem. I
It
think
is.
Stacy did a great job writing that one. He wrote that, and I have played it every show in Direwolf at the end of the show since 2017. I really love Metal Merchants. But On to Monument, I also love the song Speed Freak. Because that I feel a personal association with that because Stacy actually wrote the song about me and my driving habits on tour.
Yes.
Spirit said, get me to the show on time. Think I'm about to lose my mind. Speed freak, driving hard. Power, man. You know, and
that's awesome.
He told me he actually wrote it about me and my ridiculous determination. He goes, man, we'd wake up and it'd be 6 a.m. and we'd see fog and we're on the side of a mountain somewhere. And there you were out there. And he said, he described it just like this. He goes, knuckles white on the wheels, cigarettes going in one and coming out the other, hands all over the dash, caffeine pills strewn everywhere. And they're going, we're going to get there, man. We'll get there. And he said they would be cowered in the back going, just don't look, man. They'd look out and all they'd see is like a cliff going by or where they'd go, ah! Don't even look, just stay down. And I remember our drummer, he always slept in the back. He said, don't look, Tim, don't look. He goes, I'm not.
Keep your fucking head buried in the pillow, man. Take the ride.
It'll happen. We'll get there. Just you don't want to be part of the journey. But anyway, he said he wrote a song about me, and I said, I never knew. It was years later he told me that. He goes, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you in that song. I went, well, that's really flattering and cool. But so I've always enjoyed that song a lot because I always liked it anyway. But I liked it even more when I found out he wrote it about me. But I still play Metal Merchants because it's such a it's an anthem. I think at first people really didn't catch that about it. But
Kyler says thanks.
I'm so glad. Oh, what was that?
Oh, Kyler says awesome.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, we're playing that one. We're recently.
So what would you say would be your top 3 favorite bands that you were able to play with at that time?
At that time, oh well, I can
like
tell
the
you
best tours.
I can tell you that. I mean, right off the top of my head, I immediately thought of Slayer and Motorhead. We got.
Oh my God, you played with Lemmy!
Oh yeah. We got to play on the Lemmy thing. So we got to play some shows with him during the Orgasmatron tour, and back then,
hell,
in our van, Orgasmatron played constantly. That was like all day long in our van, sometimes over and over and over. We loved that album.
All of us played that fucking album.
So we got to play with them on that tour, and I saw them several times. I couldn't say we were on tour, and we just kept being on the bill. There were less bands back then. There were less bands, so you might be on the same bill with people several times just by accident. So I got to see them a whole bunch of times, and so we were in. I'm told a lot of people in New Orleans remember this show that we played at the Chalmette Civic Center on a particular show, and it was us, Agnostic Front, and Motorhead.
Damn, Agnostic Front.
Kind of a weird lineup in a way because but everything was there. There's thrash and whatever Agnostic Front is. That's not quite what we are, and then there was Motorhead, which isn't quite what they're rock, like hard rock, and
biker metal as well.
So we were different, but it was cool. But it was everything was there. So we're playing. So anyway, that night there was a actually somewhat of a riot, but people kept the Chalmette Civic Center. So what the story was I got was that somebody kept grabbing Lemmy's mic and pushing it into his face, and he stopped the show. And I remember him saying, look, I just got these teeth done one more time like that, and I'm walking off. And he's not somebody who walks off a show. This was something he probably never did again or never had before. I don't know. He just doesn't seem like he's somebody who wants to play. And they did it again. And by God, they only played about 6 songs. By God, he took off his bass and marched off the stage, and that was the end of that. And the crowd went crazy and nuts and everything. But anyway, so that all passed everything. Years later, I was at the Rainbow in Hollywood, and it was like 1992 or 3. It was like 5, 6, 7 years later. I'm at the Rainbow in Hollywood, and there was Lemmy, and I asked him do you remember the night? And he totally remembered. He goes, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, he remembered it. And
Jack and Coke, cigarette.
That's what it was. Yeah. Yeah. The cool thing about that show for me was when we played, because I had never, at that point, I had only spoke to Lemmy once, but it was very brief at a pinball machine. And wanted to leave him alone while he was playing. So I walked off. But okay, this time. So I looked over there and I'm playing. All right, we're doing our Hallows Eve thing, and I'm playing Metal Merchants or something. And I'm up there playing. It's a pretty big place. And I look over, and just behind the cabinets, there stood Lemmy like 15 feet from me and everything. I looked over, he's standing. I looked right at him. He goes, and I went, I just kept going and doing, my thing. But I was like, holy shit, I just got the thumbs up from Lemmy.
At that point, you probably felt like the world's greatest bass player.
Yes, yes. The rest of the show I was on, man. I don't care what you guys think. Lemmy liked it.
That's right. If Lemmy liked it,
you don't like what I'm doing, you're an idiot. That's kind of how I felt for the rest of that show. If somebody's just standing there and said, well, whatever, dude. He liked it.
Kyler says my heart would have stopped.
Yeah, my heart did. I kept playing like you do, but for about 60 seconds, my head was down going, oh my God. Because he was definitely, he's like a legend. He's a cartoon hero. He's not even a real person almost, but he is a real person. So, when you go and stand around and talk to him, you find out this guy's just as cool, and he's smart, and he's funny. And
as my understanding, he was always a very laid back kind of guy.
He was the times that I've spoke to him, and he was a really good guy. Now, I don't know him or anything, but I've gotten to talk to him a little bit here. I've had conversations with him that were in person, and he was just the coolest dude. He seemed like it. So, so I heroized him, and we were listening to his album all day, all the time, and that day probably. So I wrote a song about that day. It's on the Monument album. It's called "The Mighty Decibel," because they were so. I had never. We were loud, but we were never. I remember standing in the audience, and they were playing, and it was just.
I don't know how the man never went deaf.
Oh, he did. He's just not telling nobody. I'm sure his tinnitus was.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I bet he had some ringing going on, but it was really loud.
Because when I saw, I had the pleasure of seeing them open for fucking Rammstein in Cleveland.
Oh, that whole show had to be loud.
Oh, it was outdoors, and it still blew my wig back.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, so we were in here, and so it's a whole different level of loud. You actually can feel it. Yeah. I knew people back then used to see us, and I knew people that had to leave because, never mind. Tommy Stewart's Direwolf, we played a place. I felt so sorry for him. So I had 3 stacks behind me, and it's just me and the drummer. But it's this place, we've been hired by a small bar. It's completely packed. But the way the stage was, there's a caddy corner, there's a bar that actually you're playing across part of the bar to the people. So there's people sitting on stools on a bar, and the stage is up here. The bar actually goes in front of the stage. It's really weird.
Wow.
But there's not very much room between you and the people who are just sitting. So there's some people sitting there who kind of look like they would obviously not be there to see us. No, but there's probably 150 people in this place, 200 people. That's actually, for some reason, we draw in Wisconsin. I still can't figure that out, but there they are.
Midwest rocks.
They are really. We like the Wisconsin folks. So, so we started to play. So we hit the first. I came on The Shadow in the Wells. The name of the song. I counted off 1, 2, 3. Bum, ba, da, da. I mean, I hit those first notes, and literally like 10 people in front of me at the bar got up and went to the door, left. And now that's how I know we're doing our job. When the people who don't belong there go.
Quick question from my brother Babylon San. Tommy, what is on your pedal when you're doing a show?
My pedal board's pretty for Tommy Stewart's Direwolf, for Hallows Eve, it was kind of nothing. I could plug in anywhere and do it. But for Tommy Stewart's Direwolf, I'm out there running a studio, basically. So I've got
I kind of figured.
I'm using a looper and then playing and harmonizing with myself in some portions. I'm using a Big Muff Deluxe for
I knew it.
distortion. Right. Most what I'm doing in the amps are actually a little pretty clean. I'm not really depending on the amps because I may not get to use my favorite amps at, say, festivals where they got a backline or whatever. So I decided not to depend on the amp. So, but I do like certain amps, but on the pedal board, I'm using the Morley Bass Wah. I'm using B9 organ effect on certain things. They all click on and off. I'm using an Octaver. I'm using it's a Fishman Octaver, and the Deluxe. I use 2 different reverbs, overdoing both of them. So when I click them on, there's sort of a string effect. Bring strings into it, and I can play along with them. And I have 2 delays on. When I turn them on, then they're kind of set to go behind me, and I can also play in harmony with myself. So it goes da 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 da, da, and I come back da 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 da, da, and that way I can feel.
Which is sick as hell.
It's a lot of fun because I'm trying to figure out ways to arrange it where we have full sound while there's only 2 of us. So it's me on bass and singing with a drummer accompaniment. It's usually Dennis Reed, who Dennis has played with me on lots of stuff. I think this is 2023. I think we're entering our 10th year of me and Dennis playing together.
Wow.
So anyway,
congrats.
Yeah, it's me and him. We played on Negative Wall, Gamma Jaloo, which was a science fiction side project we did.
Nice.
We played on Bloody Gyres together, which was sort of a prog doom metal album. Only 5 songs on it. I was smiling because we had only one other song. First show we ever did, we're given 30 minutes play. We came on, played our first song, which was 10 minutes. I never even spoke to the audience. We just started talking, playing. 10 minutes later, I said, "Hi, we're Bloody Gyres. This is our last song." That's the first thing I ever said to the audience.
Classic.
And then we played an 18-minute song.
Holy shit.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people I wanted to play with and never got to. I'm just like everybody else. I could just list the same people. Oh, Doom shows. There's a lot of people I would love to do a string of shows with Year of the Cobra. They're 2-piece, we're 2-piece. They're different than us, but similar to us. So if you're kind of a 2-piece fan, Tommy Stewart's Direwolf would love to do, 5 to 10 whatever dates with Year of the Cobra.
Oh, that would be amazing. I'm very familiar with them.
To me, they're the perfect match with us. And then I would do shows with any of the Obsessed and people like that. I would love to play with them. I did play with the Obsessed in Hallows Eve. We played with the Obsessed way back in the dim and distant past when they were new too. Our 4th or 5th show we played in Baltimore, and our local support was the Obsessed. They were the opening band.
Holy crap.
They kind of just got going themselves. So, Year of the Cobra rocks. Yeah, Babylon Sun says. Yes, I love. They're awesome. Amy and John in Year of the Cobra are really cool.
What led you to creating Direwolf in the first place? What made you choose the doom genre?
Several things. I began to, because I think I've been around a long time. It's kind of started in the 70s. I've done a lot of things and played with a lot of people. And there was a lot of ideas and feelings and things I wanted to do that I never got to do. I tend to be a little bit overbearing to work with. I'm not an in the pocket bass player. Can you play more in the pocket? And I said, you mean like not play and stay on the rhythm? No, I cannot.
That's exactly what the fuck that means.
Exactly. I go, no, I cannot. If you don't, I'll start playing and get all melodic and start. And then they come in the next day. They go, well, that sounds good. And I'll come the next day and they go, you're not really playing the same things you did yesterday. I say, well, I feel different today.
It's emotional.
I'm playing what I feel. So when I'm telling people my theory of my philosophy of music is that, like language, when I have feelings and I speak, you hear it. And you have a feeling, and then you speak back to me, and then I have a feeling. That's language. And I say that music's the same thing. I'm having feelings, and eventually you throw theory out. You learn all the rules, and then you begin. It becomes automatic. And just like talking, when I'm playing, I don't go. I'm going to say a sentence now, so I need a verb and I need a noun. You don't say all that when you're talking, and eventually you play it. You don't go, I need an A, and this is a minor, so I'm going to need a, you don't go into all that. You just start feeling and playing. And so I truly try to feel and play. And so when I'm playing, there's days that I play a song live and I might be a little more subdued than I was the night before. Maybe I'm not, maybe I'm having a happy day. So I'm playing really slow. But then there's other days that I'm feeling really lively and I just don't play Sad Stormy Sunday because it's just too dang slow. And I go, so if I change the set, I always have to announce it so Dennis can hear it. I say, this one's called blah, blah, blah. And he'll, and I make sure he hears it because I'm changing the song because I don't feel like that today. But I try to play what people want to hear, but I also try to play what I know we're going to be good at. And I want to, if I have to feel like that to mean it, to be authentic while I'm performing it. And I really believe in being authentic. So,
absolutely.
In performance. I mean, I don't want it to be a job. I don't want to get there and just run through it and let's hurry up. We got
no robots
on and we're missing it. I don't want to be like that. Back to the hotel, they got this cookie sitting out. We're more interested in getting out of there. I don't want to be like, I want to play and be authentic.
Yeah.
I forgot what
I totally know what you mean.
Rails.
Yeah, because I've spent most of my professional career playing death metal. All different kinds. Anything from like death to Pantera style stuff. And I'm
death maybe, or
and it's like when I hit my 40s, I'm like,
see, I'm so old, I'm going, is that all?
I'm just like, I never got to do my first love. The very first thing that ever touched me to want to even play the drums in the first place, which was Black Sabbath. And, the first time I heard Iron Man, I said, I want to do that. And from there, it's been a romance ever since. And it's like, now that I'm at the end of my career, I'm finally doing the music I always wanted.
That's kind of what, all the things I've done, Hallows Eve, and I've written an awful lot of the Hallows Eve stuff, and that was thrash, and other things I've done. I've been a part of bands making something like, I've lost 32, 34 albums, something like that. I actually have like 123 album credits. So
holy shit.
Right. But for albums, anybody knows there were bands where I'm in the band where it was like 30 something albums, 32 albums or something. But they're all different kinds. So I just see what I've been doing lately in the last 6 or 7 years as another chapter to my entire journey. And I want to explore different things. And like you, I didn't grow up. I grew up in a different time period. Like my first radio was AM radio. We didn't even have an FM station.
Oh, wow.
That's how old I am. So anyway, the first bands I was hearing were like the Beatles and stuff like that. But I remember when Black Sabbath 4 came out and I got it. And I remember the first cassette I bought was Deep Purple Machine Head, and that was new. And I went to that tour in May of 1973 in Atlanta at the Omni. I remember that show in particular. And but like you, I went through so anyway, but see, I'm old enough to where I began at the beginning of rock and roll. I was a little boy. I was born almost exactly when the plane went down with the Big Bopper, Buddy Holly. So I started
No shit.
So my listening trip through music was the entire gamut of early rock through rock, becomes heavier, 70s, hippie stuff, right into the 80s, new wave, metal, different kinds of metal. So I'm in my time. You know how people talk about, I'm born at the wrong time. I should have been in 1890 when men were.
For fucking sure. I say that shit all the time.
I'm not. I really am a person of my time. I think I was born exactly when I'm supposed to be because I have really enjoyed being a part of all that. Yeah. But the thing is, when I was young, really super young, some of my first albums, besides children's albums and Beatles albums, were like movie soundtracks. I listened to a lot of movies. I still have a bunch of them back there. In fact, we have a song called Thy Graveless Soul that's on my EP, my Tommy Stewart's Direwolf EP called Sordid Songs for a Cold Gray Sun. There's 4 songs on it. They were done at the same time as we did the sessions for Doomsday Deferred. These are the 4 songs I felt like didn't fit. So I took them out, but they fit each other. And I went, this is its own thing. And but it was the same sessions. But Thy Grave of Soul, what I did for the drummer who played on that is I pulled out the record. I have the record of it, of the soundtrack for Walk on the Wild Side from the 60s. Film with Jane Fonda as a prostitute, I believe it was. And but it was the New Orleans.
You got to start somewhere.
I was in New Orleans. Part of my family has a condo in the French Quarter, and we went and stayed there. We stayed there a couple of times for about a week. And while I was there, I listened in the streets to the music, got the feeling. While I was there, I kind of wrote this song in my head and jotted down some lyrics and whatever. And so when I came back, the only thing I had, so I pulled out this record, and I played that song. It was boom, boom, bum, 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 bum. And I was trying to get him to feel how it feels to play incorrectly. I was like, because he's always rat-a-tat-tat, we're playing, polka, 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 we're playing thrash.
Mm-hmm.
He's more of a thrash drummer, really. But so I told him, I said, so in this song, you've got to play wrong. You've got to play behind the beat. You've got to hit the snare slightly, like it's just
you got to drag it out.
It's a hot day. You're in New Orleans. Pretend you're in New Orleans. It's hot. You don't really want to be here doing it, and you're just cigarette dangling. Bum, 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 bum.
What we like to call the dirty blues.
Shuffle, let that stick drop, and have a couple of ghost notes. Dennis is a master at that. Dennis Reed, that plays with me, and Tommy Shortstop, he is the master ghost note snare guy. And
okay, me and Dennis need to talk then, because I ghost note the fuck out of my shit.
Yeah, that's how he does. Because I talk to him all the time about, because like I told you, I fiddle around with drums too, and I was like,
oh yeah,
I was trying to play the other day along with. I have some stuff that has lots of songs with drums that you can play without the drums. It has the notation there, drum notation, so you can check yourself. And so I'm sitting there playing along with it, and I'm going, what in the hell is he doing? What is John Bonham doing on the track? He's like a John Bonham expert. So he showed me today how to do Riverside Travelers Blues. And he was just dropping his stick. And I said, how is he getting his arm back to here to go? And then he was doing it. And I went, oh, you're not even hitting it. You're just dropping the stick. You're going, and he goes, those are ghost notes. He goes, you're hitting it, but you're just letting
yeah, it's just dynamically softer.
Like a little, right. It's like a little, it's like you're doing a roll, but it's not intentional. It's just sort of behind. It's almost like an echo, I guess you would say.
Very much so.
It was
kind of like filling in the gaps.
The whole reason I had to do some. So on the last album, I had to do some drum tracks by myself. I couldn't get drummers to show up necessarily. It was the pandemic. I decided to spend the whole pandemic recording, pretty much. I think we did a couple of shows here and there, but pretty much. So I stayed home, and it was hard to get drummers over, even Dennis. There was some to do about that. Me and my wife both have health issues that made us high risk. So I was asking people to come over. If you come over, have a mask, walk through this room. Don't walk in the room with my wife. She has a pacemaker and some other things going on. And I said, sure, we can't get COVID. So I had people come over. So there ended up being like so there ended up being some different drummers on it. But there were times I couldn't get drummers and I needed to do something. And I said, oh, heck, just drums are right there. So I sat down and I just learned how to do a thing and then record it, and learn how to do a thing, make something up, record it. So that's how there ended up being 5 different drummers on my last album, even though I have a full-time solid drummer. So there was one track. So I was very proud of myself because there's one track on the album. Indiscriminate Trepidation. There's a video of it.
Yep.
Indiscriminate Trepidation. In the video, just inspired by the album, there's 5 different drummers in the room playing. So you can see 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 different drummers all pounding on toms at the same time. The recording is actually just me. So I sat down the set, and the way I wrote the songs, I sat down the set and said, okay, I need 4 more minutes on this album. It's the last thing I did on it. And I went, okay, I want you to know, if you listen to that track, do you ever listen to Wardruna?
Oh yeah.
I had been listening to a lot
High
of
on my list.
Wardruna. I'd been studying it. I'd been counting their beats during my walks. In my morning walks, I would busy myself listening to them, going, "What are they doing there? That's 5/4. Is it?" And so anyway, I busy myself doing that stuff. So I sat back there and just went bum 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 bum. But I said, if I drop my sticks here on the top of the snare, so I started doing things, and I came up with like 4 minutes of patterns, and I simply recorded it and said, okay, now go be a song. Then I came up here and sat down with my bass and said, all right, jam with yourself. And it literally just fell out of me. It just, and I was like,
almost kind of writes itself.
Well, if you're the guy who did the drums, then you feel like that.
Oh, for sure.
And it was so spontaneous because I sat down and did the rhythm track of the bass all in one sitting. I just did it right off, and I went, oh my God, I gotta learn how to play drums. It's so good.
Well, I mean, that's not too far-fetched considering, the rhythm section and the great percussive.
Yes, and I like to play
like Geezer Butler and Steve Harris.
I'm with you, yes. Now he's a really weird bird because he plays with flat wounds and all that, but I really love a percussive sound. And he kind of, and I grew up listening to him like a lot of people. That first Hell's Eve album was pretty much us listening to Killers and a Motorhead album, and then going to making our album, and you can just hear it. Pretty
just
much.
kind of dumps.
I'll be the first to admit, Killers was a killer album.
Hell yeah.
And ironically, my favorite song on it was Prodigal Son, which is not like Iron Maiden.
No,
that's the weird one. But that was the one I liked the best.
You can hear the influence.
But yeah, it's definitely there. So anyway, so that's how we did that during the pandemic. It was a weird year for me. Yes, I had just started signing up for. I've been trying out for movie roles and stuff. I got in 2 movies.
Nice.
And then I decided, and then the pandemic struck right after I got through being a part of a thing called DMZ on HBO, which had Rosario Dawson, who's the nicest person I've ever met. We got to run up to a bus and beat on the bus and together, and then walk back to Mark One and do it again, like all afternoon. I kind of got to talk to her a little bit. So I was like, awesome. So nice. I saw how she talked to people. We weren't supposed to talk. You're not supposed to talk to the star.
Well, yeah.
Talk to us. We were in a crowd. I'm like, is she getting me fired or what? So anyway, so I got to be in A Murder to Remember, which is based on a true story, and that was a Lifetime movie, a Lifetime crime drama movie, and I got to be in.
When you do a film like that for Lifetime, you've kind of arrived as an actor.
Yeah, I was just background.
Seriously, because everybody remembers those.
It was between me and another guy to be creepy guy. But I didn't get picked as creepy guy because they wanted a clean cut looking guy it had to be somebody who like they might be the person who was, they wanted to just do a thing of him. Just, you got to see him. He didn't get a line, but you got to see him camping by himself. Is he the guy who kidnapped the girl? Because he seemed like somebody she might would have walked off with. I just was much older and had hair. The kid is 16 years old. She wouldn't have walked off with me voluntarily. Not in the woods. So I became just a camping person with my own little family. They gave me hey, this is your wife, this is your daughter, this is her 3 children. I'm like, wait a minute, how old am I? Yeah, I'm camping grandpa.
Hey, you still got to do it though, and that's
I did. I'm in there 10 minutes into it. I'm into it. Not back there. My sister's in it too. She got me into all this. So I was planning on kind of going into it and just seeing how far I could go with it. And I got in there. I was going, this is relatively, I didn't think it was hard at all. I thought being in a band was much harder. It was kind of hard because you have to get up at like 2:30 in the morning to be at where they're going to pick you up at a bus at 3:30 to the location. Then you got to check in. You got to go through the wardrobe. You got to bring 4 sets of clothes yourself in case you want to get and then they check you out. And if they're okay, you might have to hit makeup if you're, you could, like in DMZ, they were going to do 2 explosions. One you get to see, and you can only do it twice. You could be a burn victim, and they would put like ashes on your eyes and all this stuff. My sister did it, and it actually did burn her. The explosions were real. The explosion you see in the show is real, and those people really are that close to it. I was about where the camera is. I was slightly on the left, but I was kind of behind the corner of a building, so I could see the explosion, but it wasn't going to, the heat of it wasn't going to hit me. So I didn't get my extra money for being a burn victim. I said, no. They also wanted to, like, you could pick whether to carry a prop or not. I said, how long are we going to be here all day? They said, they think it's going to be about a 12 or 14-hour day for the next few days,
right.
up to 12 days. And I said, I don't want a prop. They were handing people suitcases to carry around. You're supposed to be an evacuee, a Manhattan evacuee. And I was like, I don't want to. Well, would you like this animal? People were carrying around like animal things, like they had their pets with them and stuff. And I was like, no, I'll just walk around and thank you.
Right.
Because I had it. A lot of people were like, yeah, sure. They thought they were going to be on film more if they had a suitcase. And I was like, no, I think you're just going to carry something around. See, we did a lot of running. As a matter of fact, the production assistant actually called us Big Apple runners, because we were the ones who ran to the bus, ran through the thing, ran through the. Man, I was so sore at the end of the first day. The second day wasn't much better, but second day I didn't have to run so much. Yeah, that's so fun. I thought I was going to be getting into it. And now I'm still signed up for the same casting people. They still call me.
No kidding.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Me to be
you can kind of do it whenever you want to.
There's a movie that was just now. They wanted me to be a hippie in it. They were it's coming out. It's called Apollo 11. It's got Scarlett Johansson, I think Channing Tatum in it.
Damn.
It was done on Tybee Island. Well, part of it was done on Tybee Island, and that's where my daughter lives. So we were going down there to visit, and I said, should I sign up for this? They were filming it but they were going to stop filming about the time I got there. I was like, we could go down there and be there 2 or 3 weeks, and should I do it? But I didn't want to. I've got too much to do musically, and I said, I started on that trajectory and it stopped because of the pandemic. So like a lot of people, we changed what we were doing. Finished the album, come back, and now I'm working on the next full album for Direwolf. Working on it right now.
Nice.
If that wasn't enough talking for you.
Babylon Sun. Yep. That's why I've stepped into doing like horror stuff. As far as acting, because it's also been one of my big loves. So for me to actually step out from the drum kit after 25 years, 30 years, it's a little different, but it's almost as natural as breathing. For me, it's kind of weird. But let's definitely check out this awesome clip from Tommy Stewart's Direwolf.
Oh, thanks. Cool.
Marching marchers. I'm prepping it slow. Like every day. Hammered in my head. Tick tock of time. Things feel the flow. What mirrors walk. How we break and fall.
Fucking hell,
yeah.
man.
I have a good time with it. I love playing it live. We got a part in the middle where I go to the looper and I just hit a honk, 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 and I come back out and I just do a lead over it. And
it just goes to show people out there that you don't have to have a 4-piece band in order to rock.
You can play in any way you want to.
What you're doing with the bass it sounded like 3 people to me. It's so unique. Your voice is perfect for it, and of course the drums.
Thanks. I really appreciate that. I don't always get good remarks about the vocals. My favorite bad one was I read a review of us. The very first thing in the review said, "Somebody get Tommy Stewart off the microphone."
Oh shit,
dude! I almost went out and made T-shirts that said that.
That's perfect. Like, you gotta capitalize on that shit.
I said, "Well, line. Somebody get Tommy Stewart off the microphone." La, 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 la. But I don't know. I have a very normal. I don't have a very fancy voice, but I can't do death vocals like you guys probably do and whatever. I can't do that stuff.
I don't do
I'll
that.
Choke. I can't do it. I've even asked people who do it, like, how do you do that? They just do it almost naturally. I can't do it. I can tell when somebody's not natural at it. So when I'm checking out people for the label, I call it I don't if they sound like they're hollering off the front porch, I go, man, the band was good. I like the song. Production was good. They're on all their socials. These are the things I'm looking for. And whatever. And I said, that guy sounds like he's calling the kids in off the porch. It sounds like me trying to sound like that. That doesn't sound good. Unfortunately, I can actually sing somewhat clearly.
No, I mean,
my range is probably my good range without going into head voice is about an octave plus 4 notes, and that's it. No Julie Andrews, but
hey, at least you know that.
But anybody out there, what you do is you write for what you can do. Write for what you do. Don't worry about it. And if you only got one note, then sing one note. That's what your deal is. Then that's your style. Being you is the best thing you can be in your music. That is the most original thing you can be. Quite honestly, if you sound like everybody else, then why are you? There's 1,000 people that sound like that. Then how are you going to stick out anyway? I got a thing over here. A little picture of, I don't even tell you who it is, but it's a picture of somebody who is known for being quite the character. It says you can't blend in if you're born to stand out.
Yep. That's for sure.
What I always encourage the bands to just be you. Don't worry about the reviews. They're interesting. Take it with a grain of salt. If they're too good, you might want to take that with a grain of salt. If too bad, blow it off. Let it be out there. Hopefully people will come on. Maybe it's on Facebook and people will come on and defend you and you can have a big conversation about it.
Exactly. There's no such thing as negative press. No such
Speaking of Black Sabbath earlier, go back and look at Black Sabbath reviews from the 70s. They hate everybody. Hey, people loved them, but Rolling Stone didn't.
No, they did not.
They were always made fun of and humiliated and all that. But I don't think they were humiliated at all. I think they just did. We're doing our thing, and
they didn't give 2 fucks about.
We like it, and there's other people in the world like us, and they would like it too.
Hell yeah.
And that's who you gotta, that's the whole thing. You gotta find your audience. That's the thing. You know, I had here's what you do. You gotta figure out what your band is like. So you ask yourself, like, who is your target audience? What do they do? You say, what movies do they watch? Do they watch movies? What kind of jobs do they have? How old are they? What do they like? When I ask myself this, thinking about Tommy Stewart's Direwolf, I ask myself this stuff, and I look out in the audience. I say, who do I see in our audience when we have an audience? I can tell you there were some Halloween shows, Alatoona, Pennsylvania. I think it was us and Fates Warning. I think Fates Warning was the guys. They were the audience, and then we took turns. They played, and we were the audience. We've done shows like that.
It happens. It does.
It happens. It happens. It's not all fun, but well, that was fun anyway. I like playing for my friends. It was like a practice.
Why the hell not? I mean, you're there to rock no matter what.
Hey, y'all doing tonight? Glad both of you can make it.
Exactly. If there's fucking 10 people out there, I want to make sure they leave fucking fans.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna find somebody who's digging it, and I'm gonna play right to that person. A lot of times, what was I telling you? Yeah, so you got to find your.
That's a true performer.
So I think what you got to do is, yeah, exactly. I think what you got to do. So I told myself, so okay, when I look at now, it's what I'm seeing is mostly middle-aged dudes with beards, and they're all holding a beer and probably a craft beer or PBR. They kind of polarity. But it's mostly dudes. They're mostly bearded. They're mostly middle-aged, and they're doing this.
Right.
That's so the seal of approval. Though. So it kind of looks like a bunch of wizards. So I've done with beers. So I've done it some impromptu. Go in your email list if you're a band, and maybe figure out a way. There may be an app for it where you can actually like ask your people like 6 questions or whatever. What do you think my band is? What do you think what do we think we are? What subgenre do you think we are? What do you think? Are we, we're obviously not ethereal gothic rock, but we're saying, ask them, what do you think we are? Because you need to know. And what merch do you want to see on our tables? What other bands do you like? Kind of get an idea of who your people are. And if you can, even ask them like, where they work. Maybe if you're in the crowd, you can learn a lot of stuff about your audience by just having conversation. Don't hide in the back. Go out and talk to everybody and say and listen to them. Don't talk about like I talk about myself in interviews, but I try to listen to them and see who they are and whatever.
Oh, for
So
sure.
a lot of my people are IT people who go to Godzilla and Hobbit movies. And I said, my people are middle-aged bearded nerds. And I said, some of them don't have beards, about half of them maybe sometimes. And I go, the main thing is that they seem to be kind of smart. They're smart guys. They have Intel jobs, but they're all regular guys. And they all like these certain bands. It's the same bands I like. And they give or take a job or two. They kind of have the same careers, jobs, and things that I've had before. They like this band. And then suddenly I realized one day I said, you know who my audience is? And now my theory is this for all bands. Your audience is you.
Yep. Pretty
it's
much.
People like you. So if back to the blacks, if you like it, there's people who like it.
Exactly.
You got to find them, and they're the people who are like you. So if you're friends with somebody, they probably like you. So now friends at shows don't count too much. They're all going to pat you on the back and say you did a great job.
Yeah, they always will.
They're just being nice. I do the same thing. Yeah, great show, and I'm like going, but it's but they're so friends and family might not count so much, but still, your audience might be you. So, and that's what I think. I think most bands, that's what it is. So they're looking for the audience. Target you.
And that's how you market.
Like you.
So what led you to want to be on the other side of this and starting Black Doomba Records?
I got tired of getting ignored from. It's the same thing when you're booking bands. There was one year, I think 2019, I actually kept up with how many promoters and clubs I contacted and how many didn't answer. I still managed to play like 40 shows that year or whatever, but it was like 81% didn't even answer.
Yeah, that's still true to this day.
Probably my biggest key in the industry is these. They won't answer. Gosh, I have words, but
I'm telling you,
I have some bad things to say about some of these. Like, what are you freaking? I've done, like I said, sometimes I ask them when I meet them. I ask them, and I tell them, I go, I know other bands that have tried to contact you, and same thing, you just didn't answer, and they went and played somewhere else in your town and drew really well and made the place a lot of money. Why didn't you want the money? Are you against yourself? Is the place a front for a gambling operation, or are you just slack?
It really kind of comes down to, who the fuck that they put in charge, for the booking at the place. And half the time they don't even know who the fuck it is.
Oh yeah, don't even talk.
It's crazy.
I've learned that basically talking to the club or even talking to a bartender in the club, you might find out something, but usually that's not the way to go. Probably go ask other bands. And now there's getting to be more. I think there's getting to be more booking people out there that have realized this is a need in bands or need people to help them book. Yes, It is definitely a market. So it's a big job. I can tell you, because I generally, most of the time, 80% of the time, I am the person booking my band. I can tell you it's a lot. Now, what I've done is I see people who are like us, and I see where they're playing in their schedules. What I do is I screenshot their schedule, throw it over into a file, and later on a filing day, when I'm spending all day filing, I take their information and I've got a Google sheet, and I put the club, the person's, the contact name, the state and the city, the club, and the contact name, and I have a huge Google sheet full of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope, it's probably mostly current, but some of it, I try to keep my ear about what club closed or what clubs changed what it's doing or whatever. Try to keep my ear to it. It's hard to. So probably 10% of it's out of whack at some point or another. But still, I have a nice little list, and I also keep up with people who book. I try to keep them aside too. And another thing for festivals that maybe I could play it or one of the bands on the label, because I'm not just helping me play. I want to help all the bands on the label play too, if they need it or want help. So I'm constantly contacting them, especially when I'm out on tour. So I put myself oftentimes in as the opening act support for them because they're touring, and I want them to do well. And I know I can draw some.
That's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, put me on. I try to get the Black Doom bands as much as possible to play together because that helps the label
Oh
all
man, that's a
along.
win-win.
Yeah, so if I can get like, so there's been a lot of lineups that were like, there's a ton of lineups that have been like, uh, me, Grave Huffer, Grave Next Door, or me, Grave Next Door, Grave Huffer. I've had lineups that had 5 Black Doom affiliated bands, like there was one in Chicago one time where I managed to have 5. I had Cult of Sorrow, Witchcross from Chicago, who didn't put out an album. They were on the compilation I did, the double compilation called Doomonomicon. So I got them on there, and it was Grave Huffer.
That's awesome.
Tommy Stewart Starwolf, and somebody else, but we were all 5 on it. I got Cult of Sorrow to do like 3 or 4 shows with us, and went to Wisconsin, went to West Virginia, and it was us. Grave went to Wisconsin with us in Cult of Sorrow. But anyway, I tried to do them all together. We all support each other. That's one of the things I look for in Black Doom. I try to get the bands right away. I tell them up front before we ever even sign, I go, in this, I'm trying to make it where the people in Black Doomba help each other. We gig swap. We call each other up. Hey, we're playing near you. We're playing in North Carolina. Do you want to play with us? You guys are down there. Help each other get gigs, share each other's posts. And they do. They're all fantastic about it. So you'll look at Grave Next Door, and there's out of the blue. It has nothing to do with selling themselves. It'll say, look, Holy Rollers playing at such and such in Winston-Salem. The Grave Next Door guys are Michigan, but they're like me. I don't see metal as just this one place or whatever. We're everywhere. I'm an everywhere musician. And I got a guy guesting on my next album who lives in Vancouver, and another guy's in Michigan, another guy's in Missouri. I mean, and they're all on the same track. We don't have to be in the same studio to do it. It's a modern world now. It's awesome.
It does make things a little bit easier. I agree. Babylon Sun, a Doom family.
But make a little family of it. So we've got who have I got now? The most active right now is Grave Huffer, Grave Next Door, Holy Roller, and Minerva. I hadn't said much about it, Minerva, but their album also is on the way. There's just no way to know. I don't have any kind of ETA on it. I think it's coming in spring, but it'll be after Holy Roller. I kind of thought it'd be before that because I actually ordered theirs like very close to Holy Roller, like a week before, but it hasn't happened. I haven't got any word about it, so I'll probably start checking on that in the next week or two and go, "What's up? What's up?" That forklift driver is not putting it on the truck. Some forklift driver in Holland, in Netherlands, is not putting it on the truck today. He needs to do that
for sure. All right, before we get to the last section of the interview here, we're going to take a quick break and check out. And I'm trying to think of where the hell this is. Oh my goodness. Okay. Hold on one second. Oh, did it get deleted?
It's an Outer Limits episode.
Kind of feels that way sometimes. I might not have
turn me into negative. Maybe go black and white and become a negative, and I'll be a Outer Limits guy. I love that.
We have a single coming out next Friday, February 3rd for Iron Serpent. So I'm going to go ahead. I just realized I was in the wrong thing. So that's where I put it. Yep, I think. Thank you, Genghis. I forgot where the hell it was.
That was some holy shite. That was heavy as all get out, man. I was like, I gotta have my hat on. I gotta go all the way with that. And I caught in the video, I caught the like hand running across the grain, and it's like straight out of the Gladiator movie, that scene. That was always one of my favorite moments when he's running his hand through the grain as he walks.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Thank
Yeah, that was
you,
heavy
thank
as crap. Did you hear it? Oh my God.
That's right. My single Aramon comes out next Friday. So on all major platforms. So you can go to Iron Serpent either on Instagram or Facebook and pre-save it now so that you got it when it goes live.
God, it was
Yeah,
heavy.
this version of the band, like I keep trying to tell people, this is not Black Tar Superstar, guys. This is me and the lead guitarist of Black Tar Superstar, but it's what we really wanted to do and where how we saw the future of the band going before I left the band.
Right.
So we're pleased to give this to you. So definitely check it out.
You'll have an idea. You'll have an idea of what you want a song to be or an album to be or your band to be. And you get in there and you kind of start that direction, but then it starts writing itself and being itself. And you go,
totally.
It's kind of what I thought, but it's not really. It starts taking its own direction. And now you're on for the ride. You pushed it off the shelf and then got on it. And, oh, shit, where am I going? It becomes something different sometimes than what you meant. It'll be sort of what you meant.
Yep, and that's exactly how it happened. We're calling it the Lost Tracks.
Yeah,
because they were going to get scrapped, and we decided to become a three-piece. So
every band, every project, everything I've ever done was always leftover stuff from the band before. It was the stuff they didn't do, and it was like I had these ideas, and I showed you that riff, and y'all went, and they started playing something else. Okay, a year later, I'm showing Dennis this riff, and I go, and he goes, oh, I really like that. And I go, yeah, this is the one y'all didn't want to play last year.
Right.
And that's one of our main songs. Yeah.
All right.
So
before we end the show, what would you like to say to all the fans that have tuned in for this interview and the new fans that you've probably made, especially with the Underground's fans?
Thank you. Yeah, no, we really appreciate supporting the label, Black Duma Records, because it means a lot to me, because the whole meaning for the label for me was to be able, since I had been around so long and made so many mistakes that I've learned from and then gone to my next level, eventually I thought, you know what, I could make a label and I could probably help other bands. I got to watch my workload. So I only work on about 4 bands in a year, maybe have 6 to 8 signed at any given time, but probably working on 3-month campaigns. So I kind of do it in seasons. In the meantime, I'm trying to make my own albums too. So I really appreciate the people who have supported it, gone out to see those bands, bought their albums, and kept the label going. And believe me, it's a labor of love. The minute I see over 0, I throw it into some band. I go, here, you need more promotion. Here, let's make an 8-track. I don't know. That's an idea. The only band I threw it at poo-pooed it. What would you play it on? It's not for playing. It's for people going, hey, that's cool. I want it. They can't play it. It'd just be a novelty. It's an impulse. They didn't want to do it. They said, oh, it's like we did our album in Sanskrit or something. And I went, agreed. I just thought it was an idea. I saw a band do it. Savage Master did it, and they said they sold out 100 copies in a week.
Holy shit.
But Savage
Master crazy.
Pretty popular. So anyway.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Like I said, especially in promos, guys, this was the interview to really tune in and gain so much fucking wisdom, knowledge about this business that we all love. And for every band out there trying to make their way, this could have taught you so much about what it takes to get to a label and what they're looking for. We are so blessed to have somebody like Tommy Stewart. And
thanks, I appreciate it. You're making it hard to be humble.
Oh no, man, you are humble as fuck.
But sure, I think all the labels are looking for the same things. They want to see you be consistent on socials. They want to see that you're out playing, not just in your hometown. You know, everybody knows you got day jobs. Probably you're not touring all across Europe all the time. We know that, but you should be getting out and playing within reason of your state, maybe within an 8-hour drive or something, and consistent. You know what? That's what everybody's looking for. Are you consistently out there?
Yeah,
you're not going to grow unless you're being consistent on all the levels. You have to be doing stuff.
And I hate to tell everybody out there that's in a band, I know it doesn't seem like it, but this is a business at the end of the day.
Yes.
You have to promote. You have to spend the hours. You have to. Just because you get on a label doesn't mean promotion stops for you. You got to connect with then your
it goes
audience.
Up.
Yes, it goes way
I've seen a pie chart. I forgot who the name of it is, but you can look it up. There's a pie chart that talks about, I think it's 10% is that what counts for your band. Yep. 10% of it is your playing ability.
Exactly.
30% is image, and the whole rest of the pie chart is promotion and marketing. But we can all play. Everybody's good, but you can be good all day in your bedroom, and if nobody hears it, it doesn't matter how great you are. Nobody, because you never told anybody about it or showed anybody. You have to promote it. You have to promote it. You have to, and you can't. You can't spam people. A lot of people are worried about spamming people. You can't. There's just too many people out there. Do you know what the 7 times rule is? That people have to see things 7 times in order to take an action on it.
That's right.
The 7th time they go, I think I might get that. Well, they say because of social media now, there's a new rule that it's the 32 times rule.
Correct.
So you cannot show people what you're doing enough. You just cannot. Put it out there, put it out there, put it out there.
Every day. Every fucking day.
That said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll go on and on about it. It's my favorite subject is what we're all doing.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I'm like, I'm not cutting you off for nothing because
good. I want to help.
Knowledge.
Yeah, I hope stuff we're talking about enhances someone somewhere. Maybe we've said one thing that might save them a year's worth of experimenting.
Yeah, because I mean, there's the right way to do things, and then there's the wrong way to do things.
Oh yeah, and I'm always making mistakes.
Never miss an opportunity and create opportunities.
Right, exactly. So tomorrow, everybody go out and create an opportunity.
Fuck yeah, I believe it. Everything that you can do at every moment of a day can manifest your dreams. And don't let anyone tell you that your dreams are fucking stupid.
Oh, God.
Because they're not.
No. No, they're not. Gosh, if I had listened to everybody that told me that I can't do what I'm doing, I'd have never been me.
Exactly.
You know what I'm not good at? Everything else. This is what I'm good at.
Exactly.
And, I've had back in the past, I've had day jobs back in the years, and they said, you don't seem to be very good at this. And I go, yeah, I know. Fish aren't very good at flying, and birds aren't very good at swimming. I'm just here trying to get a paycheck. They go, you're here just for the paycheck. And I go, duh, have I not been clear enough?
Right.
Yes, I'm here for the freaking paycheck.
Absolutely, Babylon son. If you got a dream, you can realize it, but you can't fucking sleep on it 1 second of the day. You got to keep that train rolling.
What I tell people about yourself is find the thing that you're doing that most other people are not in a band or as an artist, however you want to be. Maybe you're by yourself. I don't know. Find the thing other people don't necessarily do so much. Figure out what you do that other people don't do, and then run with that. And then you'll stand out from the thousands of bands that sound alike.
Exactly.
Try to find things that are a little different than everybody else and focus on that.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much, Tommy, for joining us tonight.
You too, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It was a fucking blast. I knew it would be. And we've all learned so much because we're always evolving. And I always say to everybody out there in Three Witches Land, if you're not still learning, you're dead.
Oh, yeah. I love learning. I'm about to enroll in a class about mastering. I'm always learning. Learning.
Never stop. That's when the dream stops.
We got to keep going. We're all metal merchants.
That's right. And most importantly, at the end of the day, after you've put in all that hard work, stay heavy.
Million corpses rotting in this wasteland, left with some piece of bone.